So I just wanted to kind of give you my opinion on where PlayStation and Xbox are currently and what I think about them. And just I wanted to eat talk about at the same time if that's okay with everyone. But yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about not making this video just because I don't know. It's like the whole stigma of oh, this guy's 27, he plays video games, blah blah. But I don't really care. I did it anyway. So yeah. So so let me kind of give you some context of my history with PlayStation. So at one point there was this awesome console that was a Nintendo, and eventually what happened is they released Sony released a PlayStation 1. And I remember playing that as a kid. I remember playing RE 1 and 2, actually even 3, I believe. So yeah, I was a huge fan of those. I mean, always been a huge fan of Resident Evil. To this day, I still play those games. So yeah, and then eventually they released the PS2, and and yeah, I mean, I got to play a few games on there, mostly like Grand Theft Auto, and I think I played, yeah, mostly like Grand Theft Auto and certain titles like that. I never got to play Kingdom Hearts, which really sucks. But yeah, and I regret that till this day. And I've always wanted to play Kingdom Hearts, and I've always wanted to play Kingdom Hearts and what's the other one? Shadow of the Colossus. I'll get to them eventually. I know I'll most likely end up getting them like a remastered or remake version on the PlayStation 5 some point, maybe next year or this year. So yeah, don't worry, I'll be there. And then I eventually got a PlayStation 3 when I was in, I think I was in high school. Yeah, and that's when I got to play the God of War series, COD, all that. Um, so yeah, and then when I was in college is when I finally got the PlayStation 4, and that was awesome. I think one of the games that really stood out to me on their release, like when they initially released, was the Rezo gun. That game was so fun. Um, but yeah, I mean, I had to play PS4. I played Bloodborne on it. I played Sekiro on it, even though it's not an exclusive, but whatever. And not that that's a problem. So yeah, I played Sekiro. I played a few games. I mean, I'm not like a hardcore gamer. I don't like. I kind of have my moments. It's like there's like certain years, certain times of the year, or certain times of like every few certain years, like like every 2 or 3 years. I just like do like a binge for like 2 or 3 months, but eventually I get over it and I go back to the real world. But anyway, um, so yeah, and then that takes us to our modern day, which is the PlayStation 5, and I own that, and currently I'm playing the Dead Space remake, RE5. Yeah, I bought that recently on sale on the PSN store. And I'm having a blast with that. Um, so yeah, so Ari, so yeah, I mean, and then I played a few games on the PlayStation 5, like Demon Souls. Um, so yeah, I mean, basically the reason I'm giving this context is because I want you guys to know I'm not just some guy that is out here like cloud chasing. Like when it comes to video games, I'm not like a hardcore gamer, but I know what I'm talking about. Like I have a lot of years under my belt playing video games. Is what I'm saying. Um, so yeah, so I mean that kind of gives you context of PlayStation. So now it's the time I provide some context on it as far as where I stand with Xbox. So I never had the Xbox One because my parents couldn't afford to for me to have both consoles growing up. They didn't think that it was necessary, and I agree with them. So I'm glad. Shout out to my parents; they did a good job on me, sort of. Anyway, um, so yeah, I never got to have the Xbox. So I never really got to play Halo like that, the original. But my cousin had an Xbox, so I did get to play Halo. I did get to experience the Halo 1 and Halo 2, and those games during that time, those games were masterpieces. Phenomenal game. Love that game. That game was so fun. Couch co-op with my older brother and my cousin. Those are just great memories that I have. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of my history with Xbox, the original, the first one. I never owned one, but I did play it. So like, so I did own an Xbox 360, and and um and I thought it was amazing. I thought it was a great console. I mean, this was right after I had all my fun with the PS2, or sorry, my PS3. I had a PS3, and then that's when the Xbox 360 came out. So I mean, I played the Xbox 360. Had a ton of fun with it. Xbox Live during that time was amazing. It was like anybody who knows who played Xbox 360 during that time, they know what I'm talking about. In my opinion, that was the golden age of Xbox. And I think ever since then they've been trying to reach that same status, which they haven't. Okay, so I'm getting too far ahead of myself. So yeah, I loved it. Great. I played Halo, played Gears of War. It was amazing. I love it. Great memory. Great memory in my life, really, honestly. So that takes us to the Xbox One. Um, so yeah, I had the Xbox One, and the main reason I bought it is because I wanted to play the Dead Rising exclusive on there. I think it was like Dead Rising 4 or 2. But I played Dead Rising 2 on the PS3, and that game was awesome. So I had to play Dead Rising. And I kid you not, guys. After that game, I was like, there's no point for me to be on Xbox. There's like I'm gonna see what games were available during that time. There was no reason for me to stay on Xbox. So we had Titanfall. I did play the heck out of that on Xbox. And I think about it. I did play Metal or Shadow of Mordor on Xbox. I never got to play Sunset Overdrive, even though I really wanted to. Um, so yeah, we had. Mm, I mean, if you look at the lineup, there wasn't much. So I mean, after that, I was like, all right, I'm kind of getting bored of this. End up getting rid of it, and because there was a few of them, like Dead Rising 3. I played that. That's a game that I want. That's a game that I actually bought the Xbox to play. Call of Duty Ghost, never played that on there. Rise Son of Rome. I heard that was bad, so I didn't even bother. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I did play that. Now I think about it, on the Xbox. Um, so I did play Don't Starve on there as well. So yeah, I mean, I think you kind of get what I'm trying to get at. It's like there was no reason for me to really stay on there. I did play Dying Light on there as well. So I mean, I had it for some time, but I just eventually I got tired of it. I got bored of it. Um, yeah. So, and then that leads to this current generation, which is the Xbox Series X, and kind of I bought one at Best Buy I think this year, and I had fun playing it. Playing on it? I played Gears of War 5 on it through Game Pass. Um, played Gears of War 5, played Aliens, Colin Marines like Aliens, Colonial Marines. I played that. That was fun. Um, I played Elden Ring on it. That was fun. But yeah, I mean, eventually I just kind of got tired of it, and yeah, eventually I just got tired of it. And I got rid of the Xbox Series X. I don't know why my camera's having those weird lights. Why it's doing that? Maybe something wrong with the camera, but sorry about that. Pretty crap camera. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, I had fun on it, but I mean, I ended up getting rid of my Series X as well. And if and you can guess why I got rid of it. I got rid of it so I could buy a PlayStation 5. And honestly, the reason I got rid of my Xbox One is so I can buy a PS4. PS4. So I mean, that's been my experience with Xbox. Is like Xbox is cool because it has like certain exclusives that really draw you in, and then eventually I kind of just get bored of it, and I want to move on to some to see what Sony or what PlayStation's doing. So that's been my experience with Xbox and PlayStation really throughout my whole life. I feel like that's always been my cycle. Like I get excited about a few games on Xbox, and then eventually I play them, and I'm just like, okay, I played them. I mean, there's nothing for me. There's nothing here for me to stay. There's nothing. There's not enough here to keep me to keep my attention for longer than maybe a year or you know. So yeah. So that's kind of my context. People might say that I'm real biased because I did technically grow up playing Sony games, which is fair. I think it's a fair argument. Um, you know, some hardcore Xbox fans might even call me a what is it? They're notorious for calling PlayStation fans ponies. They might call me a pony, but I think that's a load of garbage. I mean, I had both consoles this year, and in my opinion, the PlayStation was my favorite. Was more of my favorite. Um, Kind of my explanation is because I mean it's pretty simple, honestly. And, this is probably might offend a few people because I have seen how this topic really is dividing and and really offends. But I kind of don't care because I'm just trying to be honest from my experience, what I've experienced, and I think Xbox doesn't have really good, really really solid games. See, there's a thing. I mean, I'm looking up to see what games are their exclusives, and they haven't even come out yet. Like they have. So we got Redfall, we got Starfield, Atomic Heart. I mean, I've never heard of that. I probably won't play that. Wulong, Fallen Dynasty. That looks pretty good, but dude, my my spider senses are telling me something's up with that game. I could be wrong, but something's up with that game. I don't think that game's gonna be all what it's cut out to be. Um, so yeah, I mean, we got Redfall, Starfield, uh, Forza Motorsport. Um, so we'll see now for We'll see. Look at PlayStation 5. Yeah, Final Fantasy that comes out in June, and then we got Spider-Man 2. What else do we got? So yeah, I mean, and some people might tell me that like those we got Wolverine. Well, that probably won't come out this year, but that's coming out. And yeah, and so I mean that's the thing. Like for some reason, for me, the quality of games that come out on PlayStation 5, in my opinion, are better than what we see on Xbox. So that I typically lean more towards PlayStation 5. It has nothing to do with being a fanboy or whatever, you know, nonsense, irrational arguments that people like to use. It's strictly for me, the controller's better. Uh, we see, Xbox, they like to tout themselves that their system uses that has 12 teraflops, but yet all the newest games that have released like Callisto Protocol, um, there's a few of them. They run better on PlayStation 5, and why that is, I do not know. I'm not a computer engineer. I'm a software engineer. I'm not a computer engineer, so I don't know too much hardware stuff. So why it runs better, I do not know. Um, I'll tell you what I do know though, and that's the fact that just because you have better hardware doesn't mean that your software is going to automatically run better on the system. I mean, that's any. I mean, maybe that's hard for a computer engineer to understand, but for a software engineer, it's very simple because if your software isn't optimized correctly, it's going to run slow on any system. So I mean, the thing is, and that's one thing I will give credit for Xbox is like they like to they like to they like to lean more towards the software aspect of things, and I think that's a good direction because in a way software is more important than hardware because hardware can constantly be updated, but software can constantly be updated as well. But the beauty about software is if you don't have software, you can't have hardware. So what I'm saying by that is like let's say you have a computer, right? That's hardware, right? If that didn't have software, it'd just be like a brick, it'd be useless, you know? And then if let's say we had software without hardware, you know, that's like our minds. Like our minds is like software. Anyway, that's kind of getting kind of getting off topic. So yeah, I didn't really give too many great points, but if you want points, you know, like some good points or like the controller, the PlayStation 5 controller, you know, it's a lot like it's night and day compared to the Xbox controller, you know. Um, it's night and day. You know, you like the vibration, the haptics, the sound, the built-in mic. It just like to me the way I see it is Sony. When they release a product, it shows that they care. You know, it shows they take time. And now I'm not saying that they're, you know, they're a business like any other business. So take that with a grain of salt. But it seems like they put more effort into their building their system. You know, making sure that everything is modern. You know, everything's nice and just an awesome console, just an awesome product to the consumer. And and to be honest with you, I don't see that same effort from Xbox. Um, I just don't. You know, their controllers still use batteries. Um, you know, and then we've had you know Xbox has always been notorious for their you know their system having hardware troubles. So I mean, if we look at the Xbox 360, you know that the Red Ring of Death, you know that was one of the reasons I didn't get an Xbox until way later, and that was I didn't get an Xbox 360 till they were almost being you know they almost stopped making them because I was just so scared that I'd buy a system and it'd break. You know, I was terrified about it, and that was one of the reasons why it took me forever to finally get an Xbox 360. And they're still doing that till this day. Like my Xbox One gave me trouble. My Xbox Series X never gave me trouble, actually. Never had trouble with it at all, which is really nice. It's always nice when things work. Every PlayStation product I've ever bought never gave me any trouble. I'm telling you, it's just Japanese manufacturing. They're top notch. They have great manufacturing practices, and I think that's something that's another part in this puzzle. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about. Is Japanese manufacturing is amazing. I mean, I own a Toyota Camry and it's amazing. That's never given me any troubles. Top notch. Um, so yeah, I mean, the controller's better. That's like a solid argument in its own. You know, games are better. The game lineups are better, in my opinion. I can't speak for anyone, but you know, I do watch some people here on YouTube, and I do share the same opinion as them. Is that I believe that Xbox, the reason they do that is because they're trying to sell you this subscription based service, and it's like kind of what I said earlier is like um, Xbox prioritizes software. They don't prioritize hardware, and that's cool. I think that's a smart business. You know, that'll keep you. You know, that's a smart business practice. But one thing I've been noticing is that with gamers, it's a different market. So that could come back to bite Microsoft in the butt, but we'll have to wait and see. Um, in my personal opinion, I think game is a lot of YouTubers have this belief here on YouTube. Well, not the ones that would be considered ponies that you know um the Xbox they don't they're in a way they're kind of lazy because they didn't come out with any games because they they're they knew that they would already have games from all of the previous generations and be able to sell that to you through a subscription. So there was really no need for them to make games because they would want you to get on the subscription. Um, so yeah, so yeah, so so where does that leave the Xbox gamers? It leaves them with little to no games, and the games that they do get are really their quality is pretty bad because it just is a business model that isn't very effective in the gaming market. And I think Xbox and Phil Spencer are learning that the hard way. That's why they're spending a ton of money on buying developers, and it's not really panning out for them because you can't just buy businesses and expect those businesses to be top notch. Like the best businesses are grown organically. I think that's something Microsoft struggles with, and I think those are valid arguments. Those are valid points. I mean, look at Halo Infinite. It do what would I call it a failure? I would say yes. I'd call it a failure because it was supposed to. Not only was it not only did Xbox did Microsoft or Xbox say that they would event that they would give you this game at launch. They delayed it, right? And when they delayed it, it still was crap. Well, according to a lot of people. I mean, to me it was so. I didn't really care for it. I did play it. It was all right. In my opinion, the story was boring. In my opinion, the story was no good. Mm, so yeah, and then so I mean, it's like you can't just buy. Money's not just gonna like. I know it's hard to believe because Microsoft has so much money. They rely on their money so much. That's where all their might comes from. But you can't just buy success with money. It just doesn't work that way. Mm, and they're trying to buy. Me being a PlayStation guy, like me being a PlayStation guy, does it worry me that Xbox is gonna become like a monopoly if they buy Activision? To be honest with you, it doesn't because the way I see it is they're gonna buy up, they're gonna buy up all that stuff, and when it's all said and done, they're not gonna have much to show for it because I mean, they're basically doing the same thing they did with the same. They're implementing the same process when they bought, Bethesda, whatever the heck it's called. Bethesda isn't really not all that great. I mean, Halo 76 was awful. I mean, people did not like that at all. They didn't like it at launch because it had a lot of bugs. I was looking forward to that game, but I seen that it had all the bugs and I avoided it. So I think they're going to do the same thing with Modern Warfare. As crazy as it is to believe, but I'm just following the pattern. Like, what do you expect from me? Like, I'm just following logic. It's like they keep buying these studios. These studios are they're good studios and they're good studios and they have good track record. But lately, those studios have been making crap games. And Bethesda, I can't blame Bethesda's Fallout 76 for I can't blame Xbox for that. That was totally on Bethesda's hands. They should have done something. But it seems like these companies under Microsoft are doing even worse now, which is strange because you would think they'd be doing better now that they're owned by Microsoft, just an amazing company. Microsoft's awesome. Um, so yeah, it's really odd. And that honestly, that leads me to believe it's just the leadership at Xbox. I think they're no good. I think that they're out of touch with their gamer base. It's clear as day. Um, for me, like me, and that's kind of me taking a jab at Phil Spencer. In a way, I kind of do see him as part of the problem because he doesn't he doesn't understand gamers. Like it's pretty clear as day. Is like gamers want games. It's that simple. Like your hardware can be crap, but if you have awesome games, people are gonna buy your hardware. It's just like Game Pass. I got off Game Pass because I didn't think it had good games. What do you like? What do you expect? Like, and then the Xbox controller is really no good because that's like how you interact with your games in a way with your eyes and the controller. And if the controller's no good, then you can have a great game, but it's not going to be as immersive like the PlayStation does. So that's another thing that Xbox has to get right. They have to learn how to make you have to learn how to get your more immersive. That's another thing. Xbox they don't have VR, so that's not even something they're even focused on at all, which is a big problem. I personally I don't care for VR. I don't think I ever will play VR in my lifetime. Maybe my kids will, but I'm just gonna not. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not that huge into games. I like games. I like playing it. I think it's a good stress reliever. I've been doing it since I was a kid. So I mean, I have, some history of playing games. I don't think I'll ever get a VR though. Just not my style. Um, but but yeah, I mean, I think that Phil Spencer and I think have, they have to take some of the blame. It seems like they're not really taking the blame. Like they just got rid of like a bunch of people from Halo, and sorry, this is kind of turning into a rant. But they just got rid of a ton of people from Halo. The 343 studio, but yet they're still trying to buy Activision Blizzard for billions of dollars. It's just bad leadership, in my opinion. And when you have bad leadership like that, it shows up in various areas, and in this case, it's the quality of the games. Um, so yeah, so that's my opinion. I think that currently is the way things are going. Xbox's trajectory. I don't think it's really good. I think that they need to really work better to get their stuff, to get to become more competitive with, dare I say, PlayStation. Um, I just at this point, like I said, I basically ditched Xbox for PlayStation again because it just they they in my opinion PlayStation just has more. They have just better immersion in the games, and they just have better games. Um, that said, though, Xbox has some pretty decent stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's completely useless. It's not. But in my opinion, I think PlayStation is king right now over Xbox. Well, I guess that's kind of a little too much. I think PlayStation is better than Xbox. I think PlayStation has been better than Xbox since the Xbox 360. And honestly, this generation is literally the worst of them all. Like I think this generation, PlayStation has literally like mollywopped Xbox, and there's like nothing Xbox has really done in return. They're trying to buy this Activision. They're trying to buy this Activision Blizzard thing. This deal, but in reality, that's not gonna. It's not really gonna. I mean, it's gonna buy you. It's gonna put you in a more competitive edge, but at what cost? Firing a bunch of talent. I wouldn't say they're Halo Infinite people. I wouldn't say they're talented, but you get what I'm saying. You're gonna have to fire people, to have all this, potentially, it could potentially be junk. I don't think it will be junk, but it could potentially turn into junk. So, like I said, I don't think that that's a good move either. You know, but we'll see what happens. And that's my opinion on PlayStation and Xbox. Take care, everyone.